All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Lots of news to get into today, starting here with the latest announcement for Xbox Game Pass, the first announcement for October. And similar to what we've seen in September, it's a smaller list, but a very hard hitting list. I think this is a great list of games that you're going to be able to check out in October. Now, these four games here are included on top of what is available today from the previous Xbox Game Pass announcement, and it's Gotham Knights on cloud, PC, and the Xbox Series X. If you haven't checked that game out yet, now is your time. As we know, the whole story with Gotham Knights, the 30 frames per second, I think really killed it for a lot of people. They didn't even give it a chance. But I've heard from a lot of people that have actually played this game, it is a lot better than what reviewers are saying and just the overall sentiment online because of the 30 FPS. So I would potentially give that game a chance after all of this time. There's the Lamplighters League coming to cloud, PC, and the Xbox Series X, available day one on Game Pass, and that is also available today. So those two games, go and check out right away. Now, also available today here is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. This is a part of this Xbox announcement, or this October announcement for Xbox Game Pass. Warhammer 40,000 Darktide for cloud and the Xbox Series X and S. And this is one that I'm excited for. I'm going to be checking it out on Xbox. It is a 4-player co-op action first-person shooter, very similar to Vermintide, essentially, I guess, the same style of game. And it's interesting because this was a game that was supposed to be coming out last year. If you remember, they did release this on PC. You can get it into from the PC Game Pass. You could have played this game all year, but they delayed the Xbox version, obviously, for some development issues that they were having. And now it's finally here on October 4th, and we are going to see just all of the kinks. Were they able to work them out, and how this game does play on the Xbox Series X and S. I'm excited to check it out and just see it because graphically it's a beautiful game and it's a fun co-op shooter if you have a bunch of people to jump in and play with. Then we have Forza Motorsport. This is obviously the biggest one in October, coming October 10th or October 5th, depending if you got the premium add-on for Game Pass or the premium edition of the game. You get to play it 5 days earlier. I have it. I will be jumping in and playing. And of course, cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X day one. I'm very excited for this one. I've always been more of the Forza Horizon fan compared to the motorsport fan, just with racing in general. I like my arcade racers, I like my kart racers, and I also like to play the simulations just far less than the other styles of games. But Forza Motorsport, I'm more excited than usual for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think this will be a showcase graphically for the Xbox Series X, so I'm excited to see how that looks. And just from everything that they have been talking about, the upgrade from the last Forza Motorsport with the handling, all of the touch points on the tire, just want to get it in my hands and see how it actually feels. So I will be jumping into this one, and I feel like I'll be putting a decent amount of time into this Forza Motorsport versus the other ones that I've played. Then we have here From Space on cloud, console, and PC. That's coming October 12th. This is like an isometric top-down co-op shooter. And I've never really heard of this game before, but if you're into that style of game, that will be available on October 12th. And finally, Like a Dragon Ishin, coming October 17th on cloud, console, and PC. And this is a game that they did announce at the Tokyo Game Show. It is this version of the game did release in February of 2023, but at the Tokyo Game Show, Xbox comes out. They announced Like a Dragon Ishin coming to Game Pass, which again available October 17th. And then the new one, The Man Who Erased His Name, will be coming out later, day one into the service, which I think is awesome to see both of these games in there, not only for the players in Japan, but for anyone out there with a Game Pass subscription around the world. And if you've never tried these games out, like I've never tried it, but I've seen lots of gameplay of it, and it's always one that I've been interested in. I mean, now is not a better time than when it jumps into the Game Pass service. So smaller list of games, but a hard-hitting list of games, similar to what we saw in September. And it really gives you kind of a foreshadowing of the future of Xbox Game Pass when they're able to release all of their first party games on a consistent basis, 4, maybe 5 games a year. The value of the service is continuously increasing, and there really isn't going to be, I don't think, going forward anymore, too much of a lull in between these Game Pass announcements. And then you sit back and think about Activision Blizzard coming over and huge announcements there from the Activision games coming into Game Pass. They have so many games that they're going to be able to spread out and make sure there isn't really a down month going forward. So exciting times for Game Pass. The value is increasing and it really just gets better and better. And then we have here another Xbox controller announcement. Now, the Gold Shadow Special Edition, it will be releasing on October 17th. And I think this is actually a very good looking controller. This is one of the nicer ones I think they've released in a while, from just like having the different colors, the gold gradient with the black wrapping around the back, has the rubberized grips on the side. I think it's really, really nice in terms of the color itself. I probably won't pick it up unless it goes on sale because I have so many controllers. But hey, if you're looking for a new Xbox controller and you're waiting for maybe a different color that isn't already out there, this may be the one. Again, October 17th, along the bajillion Xbox controllers that they have released. It's never ending. It's like, I think they have a team just dedicated only to making sure a new controller comes out every month or every couple of months or whatever it is. It's never ending when it comes to the Xbox controllers. And let's talk about this here next, because this is a very, very interesting story. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. Completely out of left field. You guys remember this game, Gigantic? It was a third-person arena multiplayer action game, very similar to Bleeding Edge. You guys remember that one from Ninja Theory that didn't last very long, just like Gigantic didn't last very long. And this did come out exclusively for PC and the Xbox One 6 years ago. And then shortly after the release, they actually shut it down, obviously because it wasn't successful and not enough people were playing it. And there was an interesting email that got sent out today. And here's what the email said. You're invited to play Gigantic again during a limited time throwback event. It says play Gigantic once more on October 5th to October 7th to relive the good old days playing this beloved strategic shooter. And here is kind of the things that they're going to be doing at this time limited event. They say it's the fan version of the game featuring a huge array of new features, including revamped tutorials, build loadout systems, a new quick rush mode, and a new progression system, and much more. So very, very random for this to happen because I don't know how much of a demand there was to bring Gigantic back. I did see people pretty excited about this, probably just from a nostalgia perspective that they enjoyed this game. It didn't last long, thinking they would never be able to get it again. And here it is. They're bringing back the servers. They're doing a fan version of this game. And I can only think of one reason why they would do this. It's not just for 3 days of fun. It's because they're probably testing out to see the interest in Gigantic for a relaunch of this game sometime in the future. This would be Gearbox that would be bringing this game back. So, I mean, sure, why not? If people want to play this game, if there's a demand now because the CMO goes out and this fan version is something people love, hey, Gearbox may end up bringing it back fully for everybody to jump in and play. So if you're a Gigantic fan, keep your eye out for more information on that. And then to end off Xbox news today, before we jump over to some big PlayStation news that did come out, we have this here from Timur222, got the LinkedIn post for the Senior Business Development Manager. They say here that they are actually working on 2 unannounced licensed IP titles from Xbox. And in her description of the job she does, it says worked on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, Halo Infinite, Grounded, As Dusk Falls, Crossfire X, Nobody Saves the World, 5 unannounced Xbox Game Studios, 1 PP titles, 1 unannounced ID at Xbox title and Game Pass title, and 2 unannounced licensed IP titles. And that's the big thing people are focusing on, because licensed IP titles means this is Xbox publishing. They're going out, they're making deals for licenses, superhero games, Star Wars games. A lot of people have been rumoring Mandalorian being a licensed IP title that Xbox is going to be able to get. So lots of stuff going on here. It's just more games coming over to Xbox and to Xbox Game Pass. And I wonder what that licensed IP title is. They are maybe looking at something here to rival Spider-Man because of how big the Marvel IP is, how big Spider-Man is for PlayStation. Maybe they're trying to find a superhero to go against that, so that they at least have something within the Game Pass service to entice people who are Spider-Man fans, maybe playing it on only PlayStation. I mean, that's the only place you can play it, and I guess PC as well when they eventually do release them. Playing there and maybe coming into Xbox to try out whatever superhero game that Xbox is able to get. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But pretty excited that there's just more games, more first-party stuff, more third-party licensed IP deals that are being made here with Xbox publishing that are going to be dropping into an already insanely good value of Xbox Game Pass. Now, let's talk here about Call of Duty, because there was a new trailer that did come out for Modern Warfare 3. It was the multiplayer trailer featuring the maps that are going to be coming to this game. And it's going to be featuring 16 maps at launch remastered MW2 maps. And these are the maps that we're going to be getting from the 2009 version. For a lot of people, MW2 from 2009 is the GOAT. It's their favorite game. It's probably up there for me. I really have to sit back and think maybe it's Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2. I'm not sure, but they're both great. And here are the maps they're getting. They're Afghan, Derail, Estate, Favela, Karachi, High Rise, Invasion, Quarry Rundown, Rust, Scrapyard, Skid Row, Subbase, Terminal, Underpass, and Wasteland. All remastered versions of those 2009 MW2 maps. Interestingly, being launched into the upcoming MW3, which I'm excited for. Definitely at least the story side of things. Multiplayer, I do played a lot more back in the day when I was a little younger, a little faster twitches, and it wasn't as bad as I am now. But I'm excited to jump in to see what MW3 is all about when it does launch. And the funny thing here is the beta weekends are coming up. And as usual, the advantage here is for the PlayStation side of things because they have the beta weekend first on PS4 and PlayStation 5. And if we can go back, talk about the Activision stuff, how Jim Ryan was so afraid for parity and getting a better version of the game on Xbox versus PlayStation. When I mean, they've been getting all these advantages with DLC, beta weekends first, and stuff like that on PlayStation, which that's all going to be going away, of course, when the Activision Blizzard acquisition does close. So keep your eye out for more info about MW3 because there will be more trailers coming out, and there will be a new showcase actually tomorrow. It says Activision plans to fully reveal Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer offering at the returning Call of Duty Next showcase on October 5th. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about Sony, because yesterday was a huge negative day for Sony. It almost seems like they have been in that nonstop negative news cycle for a little bit now. And it continues here with Naughty Dog. And this one is a pretty interesting story. And it goes all the way back to The Last of Us 2, goes all the way back to Factions, to Jeff Keighley bringing out those people from Naughty Dog, the cast that they had come out and talk about how Factions is now too ambitious, that they aren't going to be giving it as a part of the Last of Us 2 bundle or the Last of Us 2 package. And they're going to be siphoning it off to its own game and releasing it at a different date, being its own, I guess, games as a service style of game. Well, it looks like the whole plan that they had here may not playing out as good as they wanted it to play out, at least at this point. I mean, obviously things could change, things could turn around, the game may still be good, but at this point it isn't very good. Naughty Dog is cutting developers and they are laying off, they say here, 25. The source said at least 25 developers are part of the downsizing. Full-time staff do not appear to have been part of the cut, so they are contractors. And they say sources tell Kotaku that no severance is being offered for the currently laid off, and that impacted developers as well as remaining employees are being pressured to keep the news quiet. So they're laying off contractors. They're not offering them severance for this. And they're telling the people working there to keep the news quiet. So, I mean, that obviously isn't a good thing. They're kind of forcing them to not say anything for whatever reasons that they have. They say their contracts won't be officially terminated until the end of October, and they'll be expected to work through the rest of the month. Now, here's where things get very bad if you are excited for the upcoming Factions that they're supposed to be working on. Back in June, Bloomberg reported that Sony had diverted resources away from the project following a negative internal review by Bungie, and that they're obviously the recently acquired live service team. So we've also seen reports about how developers at Sony are annoyed at the fact they are pivoting towards making more games as a service with the acquisition of Bungie. So maybe this all is some internal turmoil going down. I don't know. I'm just speculating because if there was a negative review from Bungie, they may be looking at Bungie as the newcomers, the imposters, and giving them bad advice or bad opinions on their game that they're making, and that may be causing some infighting. Who knows? That's just me speculating. But it says here, one source now tells Kotaku that the multiplayer game, while not completely canceled, is basically on ice at this point. So it's not canceled, but it's on ice. From this source, unnamed source. Again, obviously take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't sound good to me. And it kind of paints a bigger picture of what is going on here at PlayStation. It's been a bad few days here with Jim Ryan retiring or stepping down. What some people think he was pushed out. Then we see the report here that developers are annoyed about this pivot to live service. And now we're seeing that potentially Naughty Dog, with the Factions game that they are working on, which is supposed to be so ambitious they had to release it as its own game, is potentially on ice. This shift to games as a service, to multiplayer games, although I think is not a bad move. I actually think it is the right move for PlayStation to do, to at least have some multiplayer games as a service stuff to complement their first party, third person action adventure games. I think they need that other style of game in there. They are finding it much harder than potentially they would have thought to do this. And it kind of does speak a lot again to Xbox, where they have multiple different diverse styles of games out there and they've been able to deliver on them. I mean, a lot of people still like to rag on Halo Infinite, which I'm not sure why, because if you logged into Halo Infinite anytime recently, the game is phenomenal. Sure, it didn't release well, and I've admitted that multiple times. I think it has the best gameplay in the Halo franchise, but it's at a point now that if you're in there playing multiplayer, they've really picked up the pace here for Halo Infinite, and it's a phenomenal game that's in my weekly rotation. I'm playing it a ton. So something like that, it's clearly hard to make these multiplayer games as a service game successful. And I think Sony here is finding out the hard way just how hard it can be. And maybe it's also why they are having trouble going back and coming up with some new ideas and new styles of games, because they're so used to just making the same stuff over and over again, that this here is a huge risk. They're putting all this time, all this resources into developing Factions. And if it is on ice, that is going to be a huge miss on their part in terms of a return on investment for trying to get something out there to have, aside from the main styles of games that they make, again, the third person action adventure game. So we will see what happens here and how correct this report is, whether the game is on ice. We haven't heard about it in a while. And I'm thinking we need to hear about this game in 2024, or there's something seriously wrong here with the upcoming Factions from Naughty Dog. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.